We'll call to order the City of Douglasville's legislative work session for today, which is March 30th, Thursday. And we've already had our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll move on to announcements and presentations. Are there any? Okay. Pardon me? Oh, thank you, sir. Presentate. You know, you're on top of things. I was trying to move on. Okay. I'd like to welcome, we'll go through protocol. I'd like to welcome you to the Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session. This work session is where agenda items are presented for discussion and no official action will be taken tonight. Official action will be taken on these items or discussed tonight on Monday. If the business you're here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item for comments from citizens and delegates in that section for you to discuss the business that you would like to talk to the council about. So these few protocol items, I'd ask that you please pay attention that if you would like to speak, that you fill out a form. There's a green form that's on the table outside of these chambers. Fill that form out, please, with your name, address, and hand that form to the city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker. Or it's going to be Ms. Chelsea Jackson is going to help us out. Ms. Acker is doing our SPLOS documents. So if you would like to speak, please give that form to Ms. Jackson, give your name and address at the podium for the record, and you are welcome to give comments. I might ask that you keep your comments on a presentation on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make a decision. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or group. And we'll ask you the first time with have any outburst that or you're being disruptive to, we'd ask you to not to do that. And if you continue, then we'll have to ask our law enforcement to escort you out. Only one person speaking at a time. Please do not applaud or react to the speakers in any way. And I remind you that we only are required to accept public comments on zoning matters, but we are not required to accept public comments on any other items before this council, and we will maintain order. The committee person will read the agenda item, then that person representing the agenda item or the applicant will make his or her presentations, and that will be the first opportunity for the mayor and council members to ask questions. After that, the committee chair will open up for a public hearing for 30 minutes, and there will be time limits on folks to talk at that time. Again, if you come to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Each person has one opportunity to comment on each item. No reappearances. If you think of something that you've forgotten, we apologize, but this is not a question and answer debate format. Please address your comments to the chair. And that is it. We invite you to be to this meeting again. We're excited that you're here, and we would love to hear what you have to say during those items, if they're not on the agenda item, but after doing comments from citizens and delegates. Now we will move on through the agenda as presented and printed. The first committee is Public Safety Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No items at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Community and Economic Development Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have two items tonight. First item is to authorize the sale of city-owned property located as the tract or parcel of land being and lying west of the southwest corner of Church Street and Campbellton Street, and thence running 120 feet southwest along the northern right-of-way of Church Street in the city of Douglasville, Douglas County, Georgia, in the amount of $7,800. Said tract is approximately 2,263 square feet, or 0.05 acres. Mr. Lynn, would you like to bring us up to date on that, please?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Lynn, Community and Development Services Director, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Yes, sir. This is the piece of property next to the old medicine shop, the parking area with the brick pavers that we have discussed at the committee's meeting a few times. After the last round of discussions, council agreed to bring it back before you all to discuss accepting the $7,800 bid by the Kirbys for this piece of property. I do believe that Ms. Littlefield had found out that the city, in some combination with this and other pieces of property, had purchased it several years back, and a larger sum than this, but you all agreed to this price to bring forward to you all tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Lynn. Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, my understanding was that price we paid was $85,000.
Yes, sir. That's the number that I do remember, but it did include other pieces of property. It wasn't just this little piece. I'm not exactly sure which pieces it did include. Ms. Hampton may have a little more insight on that, as I think she was here at that point.
Mr. Miller, it included that parcel from Church Street all the way to the rear of the building. Because I think at one point in time, there was a building on that lot that extended from Broad Street all the way to Church. So that's why the lot itself was that big, and it was divided into 2 parcels.
But substantially, what we paid for the area that we're being off, or that we're considering $7,800 for, we substantially paid $85,000 for that property. I mean, my only comments is in college they told me to buy low and sell high. Seems like we're doing the opposite here.
Mr. Chairman, 2 questions. What was the appraised value?
The appraised value was, I believe, it was I can't seem to pull it up on my agenda. About $21,600, I think, was the number that's in there.
And why is it? I'm just curious. Don't remember asking this question before, but why is it advantageous for us to sell it at this time?
The appraisal was done prior to the city implementing some zoning conditions on that property as well. Back in December of 2015, after I think the appraisal was dated around September of 2015, in December, City Council voted to add the zoning conditions to the property where it can only be used as a parking lot in downtown. We have not since done an updated appraisals, but there are those conditions on the property now for it to be sold at that, for it to be used as that.
So we're assuming that the appraisal would be lower since it's only zoned for parking at this time?
That would be my assumption, yes, sir.
But we haven't appraised it again prior to receiving bids or anything like that?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Well, basically, the zoning condition is what is driving the price. And how many bids did we have, Mr. Lynn?
1.
1 bid, okay. There are other information and attachments, council, if you'd like to look at them there, as far as the bid process and the bid submittal and the zoning conditions that were placed on the property. Any other question or comment on this item? If not, we'll bring it before council on Monday for a vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item. Authorize the mayor to sign the local government approval on behalf of the city of Douglasville in order to meet the Georgia Department of Community Affairs requirement for consideration of a grant request from Sharehouse for emergency shelter, transitional housing, and rapid rehousing funding and assistance. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Good evening. Teresa Smith with Sharehouse. Our address is 8460 Courthouse Square East, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. And before you, you have the request for local government approval. Since all of our programs are located within the city district, it is a requirement in order for us to submit for our funding. Our funding is not automatically ongoing. We must reapply every year for almost all of our funds that we have to support victim services. During 2016, we provided over 38,000 services to victims of domestic violence, and we provided over 19,000 bed nights in our housing services for victims of domestic violence. So these funds amount is a wish list. We don't get necessarily what we put in for. In 2015, we received about $125,000 from the Department of Community Affairs, and in 2016, we only received $30,000. So funding varies from year to year. So in order for us to complete the application, this is a requirement that we get your approval and certification to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, for those comments. And I do recall this is an ongoing yearly re-application.
Yes,
And you come before us every year and have since I've been a part of the council. But I just personally want to thank you for what you do. It sounds as though you're doing much more with much less many times as the budgeting process and the funds available change year to year.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for what you do. Comments from council? Questions? Madam Mayor?
I was the speaker last year, and it was a wonderful, moving event for domestic violence, well-attended, and a lot of support from the community. So again, thank you, echoing what the chair said. We appreciate everything
Thank
that you
you
do
for
for
being
people
here.
who are in distress.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I'd like to ask that we place this on the consent agenda for Monday. Thank you very much. That's all that we have then, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Planning and Development Committee. That's also chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Parks and Recreation Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under Parks and Recreation tonight.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee, Vice Chair is Councilmember Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item, that is to adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's 2016 SPLOST Fund budget. I think Ms. Callen is going to give us.
Karen Callen, 6695 Church Street, Finance Director for the City of Douglasville. As we discussed earlier in our committee meetings, with the new SPLOST passing, November of 2016, we'll start collections tomorrow, April 1. We did pass a reimbursement resolution, which allows us to start purchasing 30 days prior to April 1. So we have identified some items that could be purchased through the SPLOST projects. One is aluminum bleachers with guardrails for Hunter Park Pavilion for $66,800. Excuse me, the bleachers and guardrail at $51,437. Motorola Solutions turnkey replacement switch side emergency power at $76,750, and WatchGuard body cameras for the police department at $68,000, a total of $262,987.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
it was my understanding when we discussed this in committee that the bleachers throughout the park system were going to be replaced, right? Not just Hunter? Okay. All right, I just wanted to clarify that.
Any other comments or questions from Mayor or Council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Chair. Also, we talked about in committee, Mr. Adams, Councilman Adams referenced the Hunter Park Pavilion, and that the Masonic Lodge was committing some money as well, but we were going to offset that and it was going to be reimbursed. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that would reduce the city's portion of the total project.
Okay, and then the $51,000 for the aluminum bleachers was throughout the park, so that was Hunter Park, Jesse Davis, and Fowler Field, and that in the next round of SPLOST budget for the parks, we would be paying attention to the Mill Village Park as well as Willing Workers. Okay, thank you.
If there's no other comments or questions, I'd like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday. I already spoke with the committee chairman, and he also would have no objection to that.
Good.
No other items under finance, Madam Mayor?
Thank you so much, sir. We'll move on to Information and Technology Committee. That's chaired by Councilman Richard Siegel.
No items tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Maintenance and Sanitation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Transportation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one item, authorize the mayor to sign a construction contract agreement with Elexure Construction LLC in the amount of $393,663.69 for the Lighting and Banners Phase 2 TE Grant Project, PI number 0009035. Ms. Wright.
Thank you. Michelle Wright, Planning Director, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. The Lighting and Banners Phase 2 project is a project that is on Dallas Highway on the west side, just south of the Brown Street to just north of Strickland, and it is for sidewalks and lighting and banners. The city put this out to bid, and the bid did come in on March 13th. We received one bidder for this amount, and at the work session we're having on Monday at 5 o'clock, I'd like to go over that bid with you and what it all entails at that time to bring forth. Is there any questions?
Are there any, the city has any matching?
We've already met our match, so this will be 100% GDOT construction funds on this.
Are there any comments or questions by our mayor and council or council? Okay, that's, thank you, Ms. Wright. No other items under transportation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burdanley. We'll move on to Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple items. First is to adopt an ordinance to amend sections 5.2 and 5.12 of the Personnel Policies and Procedures Ordinance to provide that all employees promoted within the 12 months prior to any merit increase shall be ineligible to receive that merit increase. Ms. Alston.
Tia Alston, Human Resources Director, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. This item before you is a recommendation to amend the current ordinance that we have to reflect what our current practice is. It specifically relates to promotions and merit increases, and the intent to award those based on the annual performance evaluation.
Comments or questions from Mayor and Council? Okay, we will take that up on Monday. Next item is to authorize the mayor to sign an editorial usage contract with the Atlanta Business Chronicle Incorporated, giving the city authority to reproduce a copyrighted published article.
I apologize. I walked away from the podium.
Welcome
Forgot that
back.
was me as well. If you all recall, the city of Douglasville was awarded the 2017 Healthiest Employer Award from the Atlanta Business Chronicle. And they have presented us with the option to have a press kit to be able to reproduce those articles, as well as to brand ourselves as the healthiest employer, and to be able to use their logos, their branding, and basically just giving us permission to be able to copyright anything that we choose to produce as it relates to their particular name and brand. The cost is $800. I believe you have in your packet $850 for 18 months.
Any comments or questions from Mayor and Council? Okay, if not, then I would like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday if there's no objections. And then finally, Madam Mayor, after the agenda is satisfied, I'll be making a motion to request an executive session for a personnel matter.
Thank you so much.
I have
Duly
nothing
noted.
else at this time, though.
Thank you so much, duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, or Mr. Chair, this is your committee. This is your meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, we'll move on to Ordinance Intergovernmental Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Education and Training Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No items at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other business to come before council, Mayor and Council tonight from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any hands, we'll move on to our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield. I think you're standing in for her too, Mr. Dotson.
Yes, she had a death in her family.
Oh, thank you. So we'll go do the personnel for executive session for personnel matter after. Chief of Police, I saw him. He was dapper and everything. But we love to see you too, Deputy Chief. You have
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll move on to City Manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. I will have an additional report under staff reports following the report from the Human Resources Department, one that's not on the agenda, but I will follow that. Also, I would request that on Monday, when we get ready to vote, if you would, or I should say start the meeting, join the meeting on your iPads. We do think that is the issue why some of you are not seeing the option, so I will try to remind you all. So if we can get it, that means yay, we're voting electronically. So,
Progress.
but that's a good step for staff, and that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Oh, thank you. We have comments from citizens and delegates. Now the floor is open for any comments from citizens and delegates. You're welcome to come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and then you're able to make your comments. We ask you to keep those comments to 3 minutes, and the floor is open. as you're coming, I would say, I know we've had extensive conversation. You can come on, Beanie. Extensive conversation about an item as it relates to Jesse Davis Park and a vendor, an applicant that was a development code issue. And so the council is still working to try to remedy that problem. We have not forgotten. We heard what the citizens said, and we just have not come to resolution as of yet, but we do have meetings scheduled with the council members and some other folks to try to come to a resolve.
Good afternoon. I missed the last meeting, and I had to work, so I just came to kind of voice my opinions, concerns on the truck situation at Jesse Davis Park, in between Jesse Davis Park and the Hawthorne building. So
Okay,
I just
Mr.
want to kind
Henry
of...
Mitchell IV, give us your name and address for the record, please.
Henry Mitchell IV.
Yes, sir.
Oh, they already got me up there.
Yes, sir. But what it
Yeah,
has to
a couple
be in
more
the
minutes
record.
on there, because... I'm kidding.
And your address.
My address, 7755 Mountain Creek Way, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
Thank you.
Okay. And so I just want to just kind of voice my opinions and concerns, because I grew up on the north side of town. And I do understand that the 18-wheelers or trucks are supposed to be at a certain time, if I'm not mistaken, 10 o'clock, between 10 and 5 a.m., correct? Me if I'm wrong. That's not right?
Well, from what we understand, it was 7 a.m. and 10:30 p.m.
So 10:30 p.m. is the start. Okay. So with that being said, it's been on plenty of occasions as growing up that I stayed out late at night with friends. And the area where the trucks is coming in at is the pathway to get through to the park. So you got to think it's Hunters Ridge, Cambridge, Willow Bend, Avalon, all those neighborhoods around there come through that same area to get on the other side of the park or any area around there. My grandmother stayed on Carquis Street, so anytime I wanted to kind of get through there, I had to go through there at certain times. Granted, I wasn't always supposed to be out there certain nights, but my parents let me kind of be out because they trusted me. So it's going to be a lot of different times where you have teenagers coming from the games, the parks, and when I say games, the Tiger Cubs, correct? So sometimes the Tiger Cubs goes into overtime, so the game could end 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So you don't want to have trucks kind of come through around the time where parents are still kind of out, kind of trying to leave and do their things, and they have their kids still out there, right? Another thing is also you have to understand, everybody's been on a highway when an 18-wheeler truck driver is maybe falling asleep or kind of switch lanes a little bit. That area is so small for mistakes. So any little mistake that they make, anything could possibly happen. All right? Another situation I want to kind of speak about. The streets that, so they have to widen the street because the streets are too small. Is the city paying for that? Maybe somebody can answer that for me?
No, it's,
Point of
it's
order,
not a
Madam Mayor, if
question
I
order.
might. Are we to engage in a conversation back and forth with
No,
the
sir.
individuals?
Oh,
or
you
are
want
they
me to
just
speak?
make comments?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine. All right.
I just
So
wanna
I'm
know
assuming
which.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the city is paying for that, right? So we're spending our tax dollars on to widen the street on something that we did not agree upon, that we don't think is the right thing for our community. Really, with that being said, I really want you guys to really reconsider, because a lot of you probably didn't grow up on that side of the tracks, but the people who did grow up on that side of the tracks knows the situation and what goes on around in that area. And I appreciate the opportunity for you guys letting me come and speak and voice my opinion. Thank you, Rochelle.
You're welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Mr. Penniman, didn't you already speak?
Not today. I've spoken in the past, but not today. And I have some other points I want to bring forth today.
It has to be new from before, and really, it's really, no. But I'm gonna let you speak, but really, we can't, it's no repeat from, I read in the beginning with the protocol, if you've had one opportunity, you're not supposed to come back and speak again.
Okay.
But
About
we'll
the
let you
same
speak.
issue.
Don't repeat what you've said before.
Okay, I won't repeat
Thank
what
you.
I said before. So hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Penniman. I am a lifelong citizen of Douglas County and a product of Douglasville. I played for the Tiger Cubs, which is the team that plays at Jesse Davis. I also am a business owner here in the city, and I also am the founder of a mentoring program. And some of the young men in my mentoring program play for that football team. Actually, some of them are right there in the back, Troy, Tremaine. Those young guys are actually in my mentoring program, and they go to that park. So they're there almost every day of the week.
Okay, give us your name and address, Mr. Penniman, for the record.
And my name is Brandon Penniman, and I live at 1082 Abington Court, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Okay. And I'm also a member of the Planning and Zoning Board for our county. And as more issues came up about this, about widening the street there, there's just a couple of things that I want to bring to attention. The first is that this is a city street, so the citizens of Douglasville will be paying for it, and it's obvious that we've voiced our opinion that we don't want this to come through our streets. Secondly, that there are other alternatives for that trucking company. Their issue is they don't want to have to come out, take a right, and turn back around to go back up the street, but that's not our responsibility to take care of that issue. And we shouldn't put our children at risk just for the convenience of a company not to have to turn around. It's just simply not fair. Another issue that I have is that Bright Star Road was voted for no trucks to be able to go through Bright Star Road, and that road is strictly, mainly for businesses and residential. So if we don't want tractor trailer trucks going by our businesses, how could we possibly stand to allow tractor trailer trucks to go through our park where 200 to 300 kids are crossing every single day? It simply doesn't make sense. It simply does not make ethical sense or logical sense to bring tractor trailers through such a small area and then try to widen that area. There's already very minimal parking there, and we need more space for parking, and we could use that space better. Long story short, what we're asking is that our park be respected like every other park. Hunter Park, the back entrance is a city street as well on Pinecrest, and there was a gate put there so that people couldn't pass through. The citizens that lived on Pinecrest said they didn't want people passing through, and so we made an ordinance for that to be locked down and for people not to be able to pass through. And I feel the same thing should happen at Jesse Davis Park. Jesse Davis Park is just as important as any other park. Across the tracks is just as important as any other area. And I just honestly feel that it's not fair that we're going to allow something like this to happen in our community. One of the last points that I want to make is, like I said before, our children are at risk. There is no way that we should put our children at risk when it comes to something like this, even if it's for money or for that company. In regards to them suing the city, let them sue the city and let's take it to a higher power, because I'm sure they're gonna have the same opinion about trucks going through a community park. If it's about them suing the city, let them sue the city. We had an option in this. We did not have an option. That's why they had to sign an application, because because we had an option to choose yes or no to allowing this to happen. And we have to make a choice that's ethical and that's right, not only for right now, but for the future. And these young people that are going across across that street are our future, and we have to take care of our future if we want our future to be productive. That's all I have to say, and thank you guys for your time.
Yes, my name is Sanitation, and I live at 1621 Doris Road, Douglasville. And I also like to reiterate that the opposition the community has against that vote to approve those trucks to come through that very highly used road, and I just can't comprehend how that decision was made, knowing that that park is used by so many people and so many children each day. And just for trucks to come through there, it's so obvious the hazard that would be created by allowing those trucks to come through. And I just want to say to the council, if we hope that something can be resolved to maybe rescind that decision that was made. And we are, right now, the community feel like they have been betrayed and sold out. So it's a very touchy issue in the community, and everyone that I've talked to is highly upset about it. And so we just ask the council to please reconsider that awful decision that was made to allow those trucks to come through there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tanjaniki Shackleford Weatherspoon. I am a teacher at Stewart Middle School, and after seeing the information about the trucks going through our school, going through the area, I just asked on behalf of, from an education standpoint, that we keep in consideration the safety of our children. Even though with the time there are many of our students walk to school or just out, or just, maybe out for whatever reason. But that is a serious issue as far as safety. And then with the area maybe not being so lit, you may not be able to see someone passing. So that is a concern. So I just ask you to rescind your decision.
Ms. Shackleford, newlywed, what's your last name again?
Weatherspoon.
Okay, and your address, did you give us your address?
7236 Cedar Forest Drive.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On being married. You're welcome. Thank you for your comments.
Afternoon, Mayor and Council. It is something different.
Okay, I was going to say this the second time, but
Yes, ma'am.
we're going to yield. Give us your name and address, please, for the record, Mrs.
Noby Mitchell, 7755 Mountain Creek Way, Douglasville, Georgia. I wanted to definitely be on the record. Haven't had a chance to review the video from the last time, but it was something said about the ordinances not being changed or won't be changed or something. I received like 37 pages of where ordinances have been changed, so I know that there's a lot of ordinances that have been changed in the city of Douglasville. Excuse me, sinuses. Also, many citizens have asked, is there an alternative motive? Of course, I can't answer that question, but I know in the name of progress, we have Highway 92 that have taken out many homes right there near Jesse Davis Park. Also, there's some type of renovations that will be going on to the apartments that was named after Frederick Douglass, who was an African-American social reformer, orator, writer, and statesman, a respected political leader, for those of you that don't know. The name of the apartments is Douglas Village Apartments next to Jesse Davis Park. Now, with the dump trucks also going through the parks, which where our kids had the freedom of playing and being safe in the neighborhood. Some people whose homes have been broken into over the years will tell you that their safety and security has been violated as a result. I would say how we're being treated now, allowing the big dump trucks to come through, has taken away some of our sense of security and safety, with many believing that it is a travesty. Which made me think about the 14th Amendment, the Declaration, which reads that we hold these things to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among these that are liberty and the pursuit of happiness. We deserve those rights on the north side of town. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mitchell. Any other comments from citizens?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to interrupt any comments, but after our last meeting when we started having this debate or monologue, I had asked that we get a legal position paper regarding this. I think there's been a lot of misinformation that's been disseminated. As a person who sat on this development committee, I was very concerned about the issue. Unfortunately, this issue was created years ago. So I would like to formally request, and haven't seen any position paper or memo on it. I talked to our council about that and said he'd be glad to do it. But I just would formally like to have these issues. I know we've taken many notes on it and have all this, but I'd like to have a legal explanation. I don't think anybody on that development committee wanted to allow anyone to be concerned about this or get in a hazardous position.
Yes, sir.
However, there are some ordinances that basically provide that we do this. I would like that articulated in written form so we can present that so everyone knows where this came from, why we made the decision that we made it, and what the potential outcomes if the city tried to overturn what the development authority did. And it's been played like this is a zoning issue,
Yes, sir.
and it is not a zoning issue. But you know, I wouldn't know that if I hadn't been involved with zoning issues before. So everyone is concerned. There is a different side, a legal side of this that I'd like to have explained that would have folks understand what the city is going through and what some of our thought process was.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Any other comments? I know the city manager is trying to get a group together, which will be inclusive of elected officials and the applicant and the staff to try to give us some clarity.
And I applaud that because that's the only resolution that I understand we really have. And I applaud the city staff and the applicant who may not have any duty to work with us at all, but they seem like they'd be willing to help alleviate the situation to the extent they could. So very kudos to those for trying to reach a resolution that's favorable for everyone. We are trying to do that, and I appreciate the city doing that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Councilman Miller. Any other comments? Yes, Dr. Burdanley.
Yes, just want to make a comment to the residents that have concerns and also to the staff, to our city manager and the staff who've reached out to the developer. And thank you, Councilman Miller, for your comments. I just want to say that the way that the committee is set up for the council committee is that there is no advertisement for the residents when such things of this nature come up, or any other item, that it's not advertised. And the passion that you're hearing from our residents is not to, in my opinion, is not to bash anyone personally, but it is a passion and a concern of safety. So I'm glad that we do have on the agenda an opportunity for citizens to speak. As a council person, I've sat behind this seat, and there are other issues that have not been in my ward per se that residents have made comments about, whether I agree or disagree, that we still have to listen to them. So I do agree with Councilman Miller that to have the ordinance to be read, or whatever can be read to make more sense, I guess, to the residents or those that have concerns. However, things don't change, things don't happen sometimes unless you hear from those that have concerns. And it definitely is a concern that the trucks are passing through Jesse Davis Park. It is a public street. However, there have not, and I've done some research throughout Metro Atlanta or even the city of Douglasville or the county or surrounding counties. There are no other counties, cities, or municipalities that have trucks going through, whether it's a public street or not. So I do want to say I do appreciate your comments and your concerns, and also the council members and the developer. Definitely we are looking at other alternatives that we can solve this. It doesn't happen overnight, but it definitely is a concern. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Any other comments from council members?
Also, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Yes,
I would like for our city manager to have a chance. Council Lady LaShawn and I had a chance to speak with Chip Reed today on a long conversation when he purchased all that property and the storage, for the storage. He has a lot of information that I think that our city manager would love listen and go back into his file for 25 years ago when he purchased the property and zoning. Chip Reed. Thank you.
Did you want to make a comment, City Manager?
I can make my staff report now if that's what you all would like.
Okay, but before you do that, let me do my point of clarity that I wanted to just bring to the community. There were some questions about me. I don't legislate on Facebook, so I'm not going to answer questions on Facebook. And no disrespect, that's just how things get misconstrued, and I don't want to be liable for something that's written. But some citizens were imploring me to do an executive order for the development code. There is no remedy, there isn't a tool within our charter for the mayor to do an executive order, especially not on an item that was not voted by the full council. This was a development code issue that was voted in a committee, not the entire council. So the council can't rescind a vote that was not voted on by the council. The development code was something that the committee followed based on the city's code. An executive order, the only remedy that I have is a veto power, and that veto power is from a vote that is voted on with the entire council. So to those citizens who wanted me to do an executive order, that isn't possible for me to do in the charter. And I will not violate the rules of the charter for the city of Douglasville. And those 18-wheeler trucks, I know it's a lot of misconceptions out there. There was never an 18-wheeler truck coming through Jesse Davis Park on that road. It was a 10-wheel truck, like a dump truck or bus that's already driving in that area. So I think that was it. The executive order, I definitely wanted to bring that to the attention, that it wasn't that I ignored the request and the cry from the community. That was just there was no arm for me or ability for me to do an executive order for a development code issue. All right, City Manager.
Madam Mayor, might I say something?
Yes, sir. I apologize for council members.
No, that's
I didn't mean to
fine.
open it up.
I just wanted to comment on something that has been brought up again. And I want to make sure that it is crystal clear that as a chair of the Planning and Development Committee, the responsibility that we have in that committee does not include the full council, because once again, this particular instance was not a rezoning issue, and if it had been, it would have had to be voted on by the full council. The committee's responsibility in this particular item was to review the plans brought forth by the applicant and to either approve or disapprove those plans. Had nothing to do with use of the street, had nothing to do with zoning, had nothing to do with use of their property as it is properly zoned for the business that they intend to operate there. So I just want to make sure that it is not thought that the Planning and Development Committee, comprised of 5 individuals, has taken over a voting meeting and voted for something that the full council should have voted on, when in fact it was not an item that would have ever come before the full council now or prior that I know of, nor in the future. Just want to make sure that it's not construed that we have done anything outside our powers that are given to us that we are supposed to do as members of that committee, and we are chosen and requested to be on that committee by our mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments from council members? I don't mean to leave anyone out. Thank you so much.
I have one comment, Madam Mayor. Just a correction in regards to the trucks. The trucks, yeah, they have 10 wheels, but they are roll-off trucks. They are roll-off trucks, yes. So
but there are 18-wheeler trucks in the respect, well, they'll have to turn around and it's a bend. My father drove 18-wheeler, so I know the difference. It's a huge difference between an 18-wheeler and I didn't know it was a roll-off, but it's a different truck. It's a different mechanics and how that truck is.
Right.
But
So I just
yes,
wanted
ma'am,
to
so it's
clarify
10.
that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So I'll do my staff report now. My staff report is on this issue. I have talked to many of you, including the 2 ward council members as well as the committee chair, about setting up a meeting with the developer. I had a meeting today with staff. The meeting went very well. Staff agrees that the developer seems very cooperative. He wants to be a good community steward. What transpires out of that meeting, I can't tell you, but we will have a special call meeting at 8 a.m. on April 10th. If we can do that, if possible, that is the only window of time the developer will be in town. There are engineers that are working with him on his project. The problem is that he does not want them speaking for him. He wants to speak for himself on his behalf. He wants to hear those concerns. So if you can make your schedules available for Jonathan Lynn sent out an email, I think it was today, April 10th at 8 a.m. We'd meet in the boardroom. The committee chair is looking at me. You won't be able to make that, sir?
No, ma'am, I thought that the time had been changed to 10 a.m. There's some conflicting emails here. Need to make sure what time.
It's 8 a.m. There was a conflicting email. It's 8 a.m. We do have I know we had a conflict. A couple people could not make the 10 a.m. Meeting, but it is 8 a.m. Yes, sir. I apologize for that. I am hopeful that we can come out of that meeting with some consensus about how we can remedy some of the issues that we've talked about today, which would include safety. I have notified the police department as well as the folks over at Parks. I did see the photos of the trucks moving in and out of the property. What we assess is that we believe that those trucks are due to deliveries that are being made to the property for the intent of moving forward with opening and operating the business there. Our intent is to make certain that we adhere to safety. We are reaching out to the developer to make certain that we have scheduled times, to make certain that park staff is notified. So next week is spring break. We know that kids will be out at the park, to make certain that we're being very mindful of truck traffic as well as for pedestrians and children. The police department is being notified of that as well. We will have a 5 o'clock item on the agenda for April 13th to follow up on the items that we talk about on that meeting on Monday. As well as I will put an item on the agenda for Monday the 17th at 5 p.m. to address the concerns that Councilman Miller has as it relates to the ordinance itself. So we will have 2 times to discuss this over the next couple weeks with hopeful that staff can help you come to some resolution on this issue. Any questions or comments or directions for staff?
City Manager?
Yes, sir.
And let the public know that it is open to the public at the meeting.
It is open to the public. We will be in the boardroom. Purpose of that is really just to be around the round table. I wouldn't want the developer at the podium. So that we can sit down and see if we can talk and address some of the issues. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, City Manager. Any other questions or comments as it relates to this item from the council members? Okay, not hearing any. There is another staff report concerning Human Resources Department's upcoming events. Employee Field Day on April 11th, Personnel and Organization Committee Chair. That was Councilman Richard Seeger.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We would like to, the Human Resources Department would like to invite you and everyone that is a Douglasville employee out to our annual Employee Field Day. This is our second year having this type of event that we center around our well-being program as it relates to fitness and our DFIT program, tongue twister. It is April 11th at Hunter Park from 12 to 4 p.m. We're moving the time this year to have it a little later to be able to accommodate other employees' schedule that weren't able to attend last year. Our focus game this year will be kickball. Last year was softball. We had the employees vote on what they wanted to have for this year, and kickball was the majority. So that will be our focus game. We will also have other physical games to include throughout that day, and the varsity will be catering the event. So we would like to invite each of you all out to that event to come fellowship with us as we keep our focus on well-being this year. So.
And there will be a hot dog eating contest?
There will be a hot dog eating contest.
Woo-wee. From Varsity Hot Dogs?
No, it's regular. Those won't be from the Varsity. Those might be too expensive.
Is there a backup location in case it rains?
We're gonna get some hot dogs for that.
If it rains, you moving it indoors or a different location?
If it rains, we will have a rain out date the following Tuesday, which will be April 18th. So we want to keep that outdoor effect on Field Day. It's something that we just started, but we feel like, employees really had a good time with it last year. So we want to keep that going and keep that wellness momentum going for the city. So,
and this will give us some gauge to see about kickball. I know during our retreat, Councilmember Burdanley brought up about kickball league.
She
And
did.
so our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Landrum, provided me with a list of cities around the community and metropolitan area that have kickball leagues.
Kickball leagues,
And
yes.
so we'll see. I think I'm gonna try to play. We'll see you.
Those-
Challenge
come
for
on out.
Councilmember Burden.
We tried to have a dunking contest, but that was shot down. No, I'm just joking. But we, the committee brought it up, and they tried to get me to volunteer to be dunked, but I said no. So
Mr. Landrum would win, I think.
he said he would get dunked if he. But we were going to have a good time that day. So if you're able to come out at any point in time during that day, come out and just to support our field day. Your presence will be appreciated by staff, I'm sure, and we'll have music as well. So it'll be a great day. We're very proud of that one. We're looking forward to it.
So much.
Okay.
Questions, comments from the council? Thank you, Ms. Austin. I will open the floor for a motion to adjourn into executive session for a personnel matter.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn into executive session for a personnel matter.
Thank you. Have a motion. Is there a second? Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to adjourn into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. So we will
Vote.
adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We're adjourning into executive session to discuss personnel matter.